Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our alumni info session today from concept to Fulbright, writing a winning policy-oriented research proposal for the Fulbright U.S. ASEAN Scholar Program. And this program is for academic year 2026 to 2027. Today's agenda will be introduction of our alumni, Dr. Noor Firdaus and Dr. Wahida Hashim, who will be going through 3 points in the next 1 hour. How to refine your research idea, aligning with ASEAN-U.S. priorities, and tips for a successful application. We will also have a Q&A session at 3:45 p.m. and we will end the session at 4 p.m. If you do have a question in the meantime, you can put it on our chat window as well, and we'll ask the question during the Q&A session. And without further ado, I will hand it over to our wonderful alumni to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Miss Lina. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Firdaus, and I'm honored to share my Fulbright application journey with all of you today. I'm currently an assistant professor in the Department of Biotechnology at International Islamic University in Malaysia, Kuantan campus. And my research domain is medical biotechnology. Specifically, I would like to understand how viruses interact with our cells and using synthetic biology or synthetic virology. Let me give you some context about my research journey. I finished my PhD in pathology in 2017, and I completed my postdoctoral studies both at the University of Oxford in 2020. That was right in the middle of the pandemic. And at that time, the entire world was scrambling to find cures, develop better detection methods for new variants. But I found myself asking a different question. I wanted to take a step back and understand how the whole thing started in the first place. At that time, a small group of researchers globally were focusing on what we call zoonotic spillover. That is essentially how pathogens jump from animals to humans. And this felt like the missing piece of the puzzle that everyone was overlooking in the rush to respond to COVID-19. So my curiosity about spillover events and how and why they happen, so that became my foundation of my research focus, and eventually led me to meet experts from the INSA Asia, or the International Network for Government Science Advice, and NASIM, the U.S. National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. And so INSA and NASIM brought together global and regional experts from Southeast Asia, from ASEAN. So we gathered in a series of workshops throughout 2022-2023 that aimed to focus on perhaps more onto the pandemic prevention rather than just onto the pandemic response. So our central focus was supporting what we call One Health strategies, that essentially recognizing the human health, animal health, and environmental health are all interconnected, and that One Health strategies could be implemented across Southeast Asian countries effectively. So through my participations, I had the opportunity to collaborate with researchers, leaders, policymakers from diverse backgrounds, and those experiences opened my eyes to the value of international partnerships and how we all sit down together and make attempts in tackling the regional challenges. So when I came across the Fulbright call for applications, I had a very short window to apply. I had doubts about whether I was qualified enough. I had very little courage, but I applied anyway. And I was fortunate to be selected as a Fulbright U.S. ASEAN Visiting Scholar for 2023 to 2024, hosted at the Policy and Global Affairs Division, the U.S. National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine in Washington, D.C. So this opportunity was both exciting and terrifying at the same time. So exciting because I could see how my work mattered beyond academia, but terrifying because as someone who spent most of my career as experimental scientist, I had to learn an entirely new vocabulary around policy and regional issues. But that's my story so far. I'll talk more about my application experience as we go along this session. Over to you, Dr. Waida.
Thank you so much for the interesting introduction of Dr. Noor. My name is Wahida, and I'm currently head of department for computing department at University Tenaga Nasional, Putrajaya campus. So I'm not that far from the vicinity of UKM, UPM. So anytime that you would like to visit UDTN, you're welcome to do so. My journey in Fulbright basically started after the COVID. It was, in 2021, the advertisement of Fulbright US ASEAN fed into my Facebook. Then I looked into the application form, and it's quite, I think, not that many components that I need to fill up, and I have all those throughout my work since 2018. So my area that I focus is on the telecommunication, internet connectivity in a rural area. So that came right on spot during COVID-19 because there are a lot of advertisement, newspaper cuttings regarding how severe the connection was in the rural area. So in 2021, I applied, and then a year later, alhamdulillah, that I managed to secure the award programs, and I was stationed at University of Houston in Victoria. So in Texas, there are University of Houston, the big one in Houston, but I was not stationed there, but I received the invitation at the Victoria, which is really quite a small town, and they call it Victoria the Crossroad because it is 2 hours from Austin, 2 hours from San Antonio, and 2 hours from Houston. So I was lucky enough that there is the Center for Texas Connected Nation, where it is the project by Texas state on broadband connectivity in the rural area, because it is very important for them in the future to have a good broadband to ensure that the economy is going well, the agriculture, cattling, minerals, and so on in Texas. So that was how first time I applied, and but I think I was always looking forward for this Fulbright program because I wanted to have a collaboration with university in the US because throughout my tertiary education, I graduated from University of York during my degree in computer science, and then University of Bath for my master, and King's College London for my telecommunication engineering research. So I think that's basically it, and I think we should spend more time in drilling the strategies for this policy-based research proposal. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is the topic for the refined ideas. So when I first considered applying for Fulbright, I was doing what many academics do. I was completely absorbed in my own research bubble. I was deep into synthetic biology and synthetic virology, trying to understand how diseases jump from animals to human. And this felt incredibly important. But then I started having this nagging question: does anyone outside my circle actually care about this? I mean, here I am in Malaysia studying zoonotic spillover using these sophisticated molecular techniques, but who else is thinking about the core issues, the most pressing problems in the society, in the public, in the community? So that was when I stumbled across INGSA and the US National Academies, and they had this amazing public health project focused on exactly what I was working on. So yes, there are people at the policy level who actually care about this. So I started participating in their workshops and webinars, initially just as a curious observer, but later as a module co-leader. So through this participation, through these activities, I began to see a bigger picture. I learned about what policymakers were actually worried about, what challenges different countries were facing, where the real gaps were in our regional preparedness. And to be fair, Southeast Asia is not just any region when it comes to infectious diseases. We are actually a global hotspot for emerging diseases. We have incredible biodiversity, livestock, wildlife, dense populations, lots of human-animal interactions, all the perfect ingredients for spillover events. So one of the most valuable aspects of getting involved with the INSA and the US NASIM was that I suddenly had access to this incredible network of people. I could reach out and speak to experts who were thinking about the same problem I was, but from completely different angles. So this wasn't just about what I wanted to study. It was about what problems I could help participate and solve. So the experts are there to help put into perspective. So speak to as many experts as possible, and they, put things into perspective, things that I have might have little awareness of, and they really help to narrow down to research ideas. And so the experts, when I say experts, I want to be clear that I'm not just talking about senior professors with decades of experience. I mean anyone working in related areas, regardless of their career level or qualifications. For example, in my domain, they could be the industry professionals, policy researchers, graduate students, NGOs, community leaders. Everyone bring a unique perspective that can help you see the blind spots in your thinking thought process, and they bring something into the table, insights that we might missed before, we might not even considered before. So so they really do help me to at least get the idea straight. And once I could clearly connect to the real world challenges and identify why and what policymakers should care about, everything else started falling into place. The research objectives, the host institution choice, the expected outcomes, they all became much clearer. And in my situation, because I really had a strong support from INSA and NASIM team members. So that's when I knew that I had found a focus for my Fulbright proposal. But understanding what policy or policymakers care is just an initial step. You also need to align with specific US ASEAN priorities, which we'll go through in a bit. And that's coming up. That's also over to you, Dr. Waida. Dr. Waida, I think you're muted.
Oh, I just was. Thank you so much. Okay, that's very insightful of Dr. Noor for sharing that. So I would like to share in a way that if we imagine like a system, I always apply this technique whenever I write a proposal. So in a system, you have the input, and then the middle of the diagram is the system or process, and then the other end is the output. So I'm sure that everyone knows about your own passion and motivation. So if you don't have exactly what your passion and motivation, doesn't matter. You just try to find what are the areas that you can contribute in the area that you are in. So in the beginning, when I apply for the research, I knew only limited policies. So my intention when to apply for this US ASEAN is because I want to see what is to compare between what MCMC is doing on the Suruhanjaya Komunikasi, is doing on the internet connection in the rural area in our country compared to the US. And also because on the Southeast Asian part, we know how Malaysia stand in the list of internet broadband. So you can see other countries like Cambodia, Indonesia, and so on. So at least you have the rough idea because it's in your region. But then you need to know that I want to know, I'm inquisitive enough to basically what is US doing in terms of their policy and how they start their initiative, the budget, and so on. So I found that my proposal was very simple. I started my proposal with, when I look at the duration for the program is only 2-3 months. Usually when we apply FRGS or PRGS, usually you have about 3 objectives. But in this program, I would advise you to only stick to one research objective of your related research proposal and then break it into 3 small parts, because within 4 months, you don't have much time to complete a lot of objectives. So stick to one objective. And yes, I do ask many experts, but then sometimes I just get information from searching on the internet, read a lot of documents and papers related to your research, because that is the best way to get information. And then I only make a call to the Suruhanjaya to know what is the current status of the programs that they have for the rural internet. So narrow down to a research, what I mean is that from 3 research objectives become only 1 because of the limited time that you have. And then policy connection is literally, okay, when you read a policy, there's quite a lot of policy draft in a way that it encapsulates quite a big area. But then again, it's only 4 months that you have, minus 1 month for, settling down and so on. You have about 3 months. So just picked up one section only in the current policy that you think it could be improved, or there's nothing in the policy yet, but you wish to explore and contribute. Perhaps one day when people read about your paper, they are aware of what you're doing. So in my experience, my input to the application is very, very simple. I have done work with people in the island about the internet. So when I apply for the program, I just put one of the research objectives, which is to compare the policy or the framework, whatever in the US, with what we have in Malaysia. And then from there, I was excited when I arrived in Victoria that I was introduced to the Texas Connected Nation, where I did a lot of interview, and I went to the conference, and it's free conference where I met not only the industry, the university, and also the government, but some community associations, and then the budget funder, and a lot of people where I could imagine that the 3 months of my work, I got all the answers within 2 days of a conference, because all sectors came to the conference and I interviewed every one of them and how they did it. So it's saved a lot of time. And I was very, very lucky, but I just want to tell you that the strategy to do is when you reach the university, try to contact their corporate comm to ask for any conferences or any community that works related to your area. Yeah. Okay, that's it. I think. I want the audience to ask question actually. So I'm just telling my experience. Okay, over to you, Dr. Noor.
Okay, so yeah, we like we mentioned, we know what policymakers care, but we also need to align with the specific US and ASEAN priorities. Ms. Lina, can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So as for the Fulbright US ASEAN Visiting Scholar Program, the recipients represent not just our individual research, but our region's commitment for strengthening educational ties around issues that matter to both the US and ASEAN. The research topics, as you can see from this slide, are diverse as our region itself. My research domain is public / global health, because we know the US and ASEAN relationship focus heavily on shared challenges like pandemic preparedness, regional security, economic cooperations, capacity buildings, and promote well-being on a global scale. So I know a crucial requirement was that participating scholars must conduct research that is regional in scope, regional in nature, and has clear implications for the entire ASEAN region. So meaning that the program is not just about doing good research, but it's about doing research that can benefit our entire a regional community, and as well as mutually benefiting the US and ASEAN. And also, as you can see from the slides, it's clearly not just STEM disciplines. There are diverse domains, topics. We have journalism, trade, investment. So these diverse topics across different multiple fields, they are considered crucial and mutually beneficial to the US and ASEAN relation. And I also believe our audience today perhaps already working on something that aligns with these US ASEAN priorities in some way, whether you really realize it or not. You might just not have frame it that way yet. So you probably already have that kind of background that this program is looking for. You might be more qualified than you think, and I think this is the best program if you have all of this already fit in what you have. So I think we can move to later. Dr. Waida will take on this one, and we can move to the tips later. Muted again.
Okay. So when talking about the US ASEAN Plan of Action, one of the objective of this program is to ensure that there are work related to what is the US plan towards Southeast Asia. So there are quite a number of actions in here that you can find which is your area. So in my case, it is more on the IT, which is the information sciences, advanced data management, and also communication technologies. So I was about to comment just now that, okay, it slipped off from my mind now at the moment. But I was about to say that when I went to interview a lot of members for this Texas Connected Nation program, one of the questions that we have problem in Malaysia is when you want to provide funding for the rural to subscribe the broadband, how sustainable is that? Because you give them the funding and after a while, they have to find their own fund. So I went to the US and hope there is a answer to this critical action, but then it was funny that the US said, oh, actually, we haven't got to solve that problem as well. But of course, there are initiatives that they did with the budget. So when I went there during that time, it was with Biden as the president. Yes. So the budget for the telecommunication broadband in a rural quite a lot. And the way that so at the end of the program, I managed to get an answer whereby they sort of let's say there's a renewable energy, so they park their solar panels in the farm. Then from this income, part of it will be for the broadband subscription. So from that as well, I found the term for that where they are working on is called digital equity. So when I come back to Malaysia, digital equity is not yet the move or the actions in this country. And even until now, I don't see much work on the digital equity. So I'm really, really, feel so satisfying during the program that I discover something that is not really talked about in Malaysia. Okay. So I think we can move to the next, tips for successful application. Okay. You would like to go first, Dr. Noor?
I can go first. So it seems like a long list, but to be honest, it surrounds the same kind of meaning. So the first one, fulfill application checklist. This sounds obvious, but I almost missed my deadline because I underestimated how long everything takes. When I saw that Fulbright call for applications with only about 2 weeks to go, I really had to scramble. So I remember I missed waiting for one more recommendation letter from Hong Kong from my professor in veterinary. He was on a trip at that time, but we managed to get it all done before the deadline. The INSA, Nazim, gave me really a stronger support system. I had already been participating in workshop for years before I even thought about applying. And when I finally decided to apply, I already had connections who knew my ability, who knew my capacity, and they could write meaningful recommendation letters as well as a host invitation letter. I first reached out to my team leader, Professor Megan Davis from Johns Hopkins University. I expressed my intention to apply, and she suggested the U.S. National Academies in Washington, D.C. As the host institution that fits best to my goal. So the invitation letters, the recommendation letters, really didn't come out of the blue. It came from relationships that I had built over time. And my INSA Nasim colleagues, I think one of them joined us just now. Probably it's 3 a.m. in Washington, D.C. They were really instrumental in helping me frame my interest into and my proposal into a policy relevant type of proposal. So as for number 5, the full use borderless technology, this was especially important. You can use Zoom or any platforms, connect to researchers globally, especially in the US. And my collaborations with the colleagues at the National Academies or Johns Hopkins started through virtual meetings, virtual workshops. And those digital platforms really broke down the geographical barriers and made the international collaborations much more accessible, especially these days. So in my case, one practical step that made a huge difference for me was actually talking to collaborators through these technology or platforms online before applying. I reach out via email, set up virtual meetings that worked across different time zones and used those conversations to explore and see if our interests align. But these conversations were not formal interviews. Those are just a normal conversations between researchers exploring possibilities, exploring what kind of interest we can work on, and figure out how I could make full use of my time during the fellowship in DC. But the bottom line is that, and this is my words, that Fulbright application, Fulbright research is not just about our individual research. It's about demonstrating that you are up for collaborative networks that span ASEAN and the US. And if you have already embedded in a US ASEAN project, engaged already like me, you can have these relationships and visions further amplified through this fellowship program. And that's what I can conclude it from my experience. And also the best tip I would give is to really have a good, strong support system, especially from the US counterpart. Over to you, Dr. Waida.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noor. Okay, pretty much that I have, we were talking along the tips and application from the previous slide. Just that apart from those tips that Dr. Noor shared earlier, one of the things that a bit challenging sometimes for those who first time collaborate with the US, it's like you need to get the placement, and this is rather challenging if you have no connection at all before. So what I did last time when I went to the US for the training, I took a picture with the lecturer. So actually I aimed to go to MIT and Harvard. So I took a picture with a trainer, and then they immediately reply my email, because you could imagine that your email could be in spam. And if you email to MIT, perhaps, it's not that really significant for them to reply. So with that picture, they reply immediately, and they said there's no, the research area that I work on is not suitable for the department. And I had interview as well with the Stanford, but then it was only half, because my topic is rather challenging in a way that you cannot go to university which is really in the big cities. You can, but mostly I noticed that not many university research in internet connection, especially in the rural area. So I was lucky enough to get a placement in Houston, and it's one of the best that I could imagine that I collaborate with. And another thing is, yes, you could use internet and so on, but another way is like, the Fulbright US ASEAN is not only for you to spend the whole month, the 3 months in one place. Okay, if you have so many activities to do in that university, following your research objective, that's fine. But in my case, I also explore other states who work on the same research. So it is very, very easy when you have landed in one of the states and you give a phone call to other university, because the time difference is not as bad as between Malaysia and the US. So when I call, and they are very, very friendly, and I noticed that the Americans, when you email, that's fine as an official, but try to follow up and give a call. You can just buy a call card for $5, and you immediately call them and ask, have you received my email? And, what do you think of it? Is there any placement for me? And so on. So I visited quite a number of university, I think 6 states altogether that I went within that 3-4 months to meet the researchers who work on the same area. If it's not the same area, but at least it's related to the area. And I also brought my daughter during the research attachment, and I register her in one of the school in Texas, which she had a best experience ever, because I meant for her to experience all this, and she's very adaptive as well. So you might want to ask that question later, but yes, I do not only myself that experience, but also my daughter. Other than that, have a look at the application, and you're welcome to contact any one of us if you have any inquiries about preparing the proposal. But my proposal is very straightforward. I don't put much of literature review. I put a lot of pictures where all the activities workshop that I have done with the rural people earlier from my previous projects. So they're saying that picture worth 1,000 words, so that's what I use in my proposal. Okay, all right. I think that's it, and I think the next slide is Q&A, right? Am I right, Dr. Noor? Oh, those are pictures. Okay.
You all want to share these pictures?
Yes. So the first one on the left top corner is the conference that I went. So you can see myself and my daughter over there also joining the conference. I believe that my children needs to be part of my work, because they are the next generation who's going to take over whatever I'm doing. So I nurture them right away. And those participants in the conference are so generous, so generous. They give me all the tips. They talk about their projects and so on, and it's so much interesting. So I prefer to go to conference, because instead of me reading books, papers, articles, and so on, it will take time. But if I go and see them, ask them right away what are the questions that I have in mind, that's very straightforward and much more interesting. So during Fulbright ASEAN as well, you have 1 week of visiting Washington, D.C. and the Department of States, like our foreign department, I think. So that will be organized by a U.S. counterpart. And then after the Fulbright, I always enjoy doing this kind of sharing session. And then we had a good opportunity as well to go to Jakarta for the U.S. mission, because in Jakarta there are two sort of like one is U.S. Embassy and another one is U.S. mission. So U.S. mission, if I'm not mistaken, taking care of the ASEAN, and the U.S. Embassy is particularly for all this embassy related in the Indonesia. And that's how I met Dr. Noor during the ASEAN. It was my first time that I visited the office in ASEAN in Indonesia. So, when I talk about this, my experience in the US, I always, it's one of the best experiences that I have in my entire career as a lecturer. Okay, over to you, Dr. Noor.
So the top right, as you can see, this me at the U.S. Department of State, like Dr. Wahida said, during our Fulbright stint in the U.S. There was a program organized by the U.S. counterpart, the IEE. I think, and we got to visit to the U.S. Department of State, who's also, I believe, sponsoring the Fulbright projects, I guess. And then, so this Department of State is equivalent to the Ministry, I think, Malaysian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is one of the pictures that I got to take at the Department of State. And the bottom left, the one you can see me standing in front of my office room at the National Academies. I had a lot more pictures of the building, the interiors, but I don't think my photographic skills is as good. So, but you can also check their website with really nice buildings and really nice interiors inside. The bottom right corner, the last picture on the bottom right was one of the workshops that I attended, organized by the amazing team of Ingsa and Nazim. Those are, as you can see in the picture, the incredible minds that has dedicated their professional lives working in understanding and preventing zoonotic spillover. So you can see professors from Hong Kong who's also wrote me recommendation letters, the team leader, and Carmen is also in the picture, who's also in the call right now. She was also a Fulbright and had her Fulbright stint in, the US Fulbright, and had her Fulbright stint, if I'm not mistaken, in Thailand and Philippines. So that's when I knew that I had a colleague with similar experience at the US, Nasim, who's also a Fulbrighter. And the one in the middle, in front of the ASEAN logo, is how I met the Wahida during the pre-departure orientations at the ASEAN Secretariat. And I'm also grateful and thankful for the whole experience. It was like, it is an amazing experience that I will never forget, although it's like a very short stint for 4 months. I guess we're done with, I hope we've explained as much as we can, but and hoping there will be more, there'll be questions that we perhaps have not covered from the audience.
Yeah, we have one question in the chat.
So before we go to the one in the chat first, I would like to thank you both so much for your wealth of knowledge that you've just shared with us this afternoon. And again, welcome to Carmen from the US. It's very early in the morning. Thank you for your support for joining us on our call today. And so, yes, there is a question from Noor Chouhani, and I will address this to both of y'all so that maybe you can give her some advice. The Fulbright is to support short-term projects. How do we ensure the sustainability of these projects? For example, in the education area, if we propose to empower the women entrepreneur at rural areas with IoT technologies, how do we ensure the long-term impact? Is there any fund for maintenance or monitoring the target society? So both of you all have been back for some time. I guess I'll start with Dr. Firdaus. Do you have any advice for Noor Chouhani?
If you remember in one line in the previous slides, know your passion and know your motivation. So regardless of changes, for example, in the US, regardless of changes in administrative and how the budget's reallocated, but over time, if you have that passion and vision and motivation, that can be sustained over a long period of time. Budgets changes, things changes, but you can still continue pursuing that project for a very long period of time. But of course, you will find ways to adapt, learn, unlearn, relearn according to the current situations. As for the maintenance or monitoring the target societies, these days there are a lot of sustainable projects at the community level. It doesn't have to be millions. It can be a small and a short term fund that could help you. So if it's a Fulbright 3 to 4 months, but your relationship with them, your passion and motivation remains the same throughout your career, that will last even longer.
Thank you, Dr. Noor Firdaus. Dr. Wahida, do you have anything to add on?
In terms of sustainability, Fulbright is basically like my seeding towards making my project from just a couple of islands in Malaysia into the world perspective. So in my area of internet connectivity, it is never ending problem in any country. So I always compare, whenever I have chance to write a grant related to that, I will point out into certain country that I haven't done the study yet. So for example, I was quite surprised recently that I obtained Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi funding that we're going to install the microgrid electricity generator in a rural area of Orang Asli. And then surprisingly, we tried to transmit the data, but there is no connection at all in that because the program under My Jendela has stopped for quite a while. So I thought that we are going forward with providing internet connectivity because it's part of United Nations drive, like a post where you have to send all the parcels and everything to the place. But unfortunately, we are still, quite not that upfront with this, facilities. So, and then I want to tell you that this Fulbright really sporadic in my research because when I was in Austin, I told you that I visited quite a number of universities. Then I always have passion about wildflower. So when I went to Texas, there's a library of wildflower. And the way that the US taught me of how to write a grant, number one, in any grant, write in the perspective of how it will save the money. Like from the angle of if you do this kind of research, how it will save the taxpayer money or any cost or anything, then only people or funder will appreciate. I know it sounds like, money based and so on, no. But when I look at the way that the university taught me that whatever you want to write a research grant, then write from that perspective first. That the value is there, but when you want to ask for fund, you have to write in that perspective. So other than that, Fulbright really helps me to get, now I'm the head of department, I need to work a lot with the external examiners from other university, and I could get quite an easy access to some of lecturers in the US whenever they need to become an external examiner in my department or become a Viva examiner for my PhD students. And I don't know, I mean, like it's really a good starting point with this Fulbright.
Thank you so much for that advice. I think for those who are on the call today, you can also go back to our website and look at the previous call we had last week, done by our two other alumni who talked about the power of networking as well while you're in the US. Because, when you go there, you need to go out, you need to meet people, you need to network. And through that, sometimes you can get and meet people who will be able to connect you to other people or other ways of getting funds to help you with your project. So that's one thing of the power of Fulbright is when you go there is to network. You're there for 3 months, 4 months, get to know as many people as possible. That way, you can continue doing the work that you're doing when you come back home. Thank you so much. The other question from Sufri. Sorry, do you want to add on?
Yeah, Lina, there's another things that I also managed to secure AEIF fund that is specifically for the Fulbright alumni. So that is nice as well. It's like a only 1 year kind of project. It fund you for whatever topics that you love to do with your Fulbright, other Fulbrighters as well.
Yeah, well, that's taking advantage of the program, and I think this was something you probably would have learned when you were in IIE in Washington, right?
Yeah.
I've told you what happens next. The next question, Sufri, who's asked the question, how is the grant amount calculated? Is there a minimum or maximum limit? Any tips? This question I'm going to pose to Karanjit, who is actually on a call. She is the program coordinator for the Malaysian program who oversees the US ASEAN Fulbright program. Karen, can you give advice?
Sure. Hi, Sufri. Thank you for your question. So the grant amount is calculated based on the host university that you are going to be placed. And it doesn't matter whether it falls for a minimum of 3 months that you intend to go or for a maximum of 4 months. So once you submit your application, and if you are shortlisted to go for the program and you're nominated, we will then look at the letter of invitation that you have received from the host institution, and we would see where that is located. So basically, grant amount would fall under where the city of your host institution is based in the US. Just as extra information, like say grant amount as in stipend that is given to you, it varies accordingly based on the cities because there are a few categories. There are at least about 5 categories ranging from low-cost city to high-cost city as well. So that would just be an information for you to know that when the stipend amount is provided for you, it is enough for you to sustain during the duration of your program. I think in terms of minimum and maximum limit or any tips in managing, maybe I would just shoot this question back to our alumni on the call today. Since when you receive your funding, was there any tips in you managing those funds that you receive, and any tips from that part, if you can just enlighten us?
Yes. Okay. Do you mind if I go first, Dr. Noor? Okay. So the most challenging part during the short term is getting the accommodation. So especially in the states where, in the university where it's a little bit outskirts, like in a rural area like mine, it's a little bit difficult to get the accommodation, because in the US they will not rent you for a short period of time. If they rent you for a short period of time, it's not like fully furnished. So how do I solve this problem? I contacted Airbnb and I found a cottage, complete everything, internet, water, utility bills, I don't need to think, and all are fully furnished. It's just a little cottage, enough for me and my daughter to stay. So I rent it for 1 month, and then the moment that I get the owner's phone number, I contacted her and asked, I am going to stay for 4 months. Can you please give me a discount? Because you know, you don't need to send cleaners every day for this homestay. So she said that, so it was like 1,200 US dollar. Then I said that, oh, I don't earn much from the what do you call that, the money. I mean, so I said that, can I get like 1,000 US dollar all inclusive, because I know other places are more than that. So I got it, and then she was very nice, and I found that the Texan really have this like the Malaysian as well sometimes. So I have a very good landlord, and then why not? It makes life very easy, because there is we just like write down on the piece of paper that I'm going to rent for 4 months with 1,000 US dollar only, all inclusive. So every month I make sure that I will pay 1,000. I still remember her name is Tara. And then she said, yeah, that's fine, because it's sort of like a consistent income for her for the next 4 months. And it's just like 5 minutes walking distance to my daughter's school, and also about 10 minutes to my department in the university. So that's one of the tips. Other than that, I did not rent a car, because in Texas, you have to rent a car. But I don't need to, because it's just walking distance. But you have to make sure that it's a safe area to walk. And then I rent car maybe per day, and there's a website. Sometimes you get $20 a day for renting a car, so which is quite cheap. And then I use coupons to sometimes buy in Walmart. but I think the food are quite okay. I mean the vegetables, you can go to Lidl, Lidl. I think that's Aldi. Yeah, Aldi. I mean, I'm familiar with what these groceries in the UK they also have in Texas. So that's very cheap. And so with all the allowance that I got, I managed to buy a ticket to travel to the other states and also to visits to other universities. So yeah. Okay, over to you.
Yeah. So as for me, if you notice, most Fulbrighters go to universities, academic institutions, and in my situation, the U.S. National Academies is not a traditional academic institution. So it's essentially the science advisory organization, science advisory body for the U.S. governments. So clearly there's no accommodation like the university accommodations available. So I managed to secure a long-term accommodation in a women only accommodation right in the middle of the Washington, D.C. So that helps me to manage 4 months of, because the Washington, D.C. is quite a centralized town with a lot of federal government agencies and bodies. So, and also there's a think tanks, there's like people coming in and out, especially the government officers. So there is one really nice a women-only accommodation accommodating the traveling professionals for a short-term stay in Washington, D.C. So I managed to secure that. They actually had a how to say age limit, and I just kindly said to them that I'm not how to say quite old for your age limit. Could you please accept me? I have no how to say medical health issues. So, and then they said, yeah, you can come in, and so that helps me to manage my funding for 4 months. As for the project itself, if you perform policy reviews, you might have to go and travel around. I went to Johns Hopkins University. That is still within the stipend provided. So in terms of the stipend provided and living in main city in Washington, D.C., I would say it is enough for you to do your job and do your job well until the end of the fellowship. So I believe there's a fixed amount given to each of the scholars, so you don't have to worry about. That has also, I guess, take into account the living cost in cities in the US. I guess I hope that answers the question from the audience. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Um, since the time has run out, but I will answer this question. The Fulbright Fund is only for traveling and monthly stipend. What about the fund projects as data collection, development, testing? Do we need to budget these too? Very quickly, if Dr. Noor Firdaus and Dr. Wahida, could you help answer this question for Noor Shuhani?
All right, okay. Thank you very much for the question. So in short, in my case, I budget for the rental of the lab. So because that's my host supervisor will charge, but the rest of everything is all free. So the data collection, I don't involve much of data collection because I interview people. So I collect the data during my Fulbright. So it depends. Like I said, that when you do your proposal, try to do the proposal that you can think it will be doable within that 2-3 months and within that amount of money that you're going to get for your stipend.
Thank you. Dr. Noor Firdaus?
Yes, yes, I agree. So as you mentioned, if your project involves data collection, development, testing, I would suggest you to talk to your host and how to do this. Perhaps they could accommodate this financially in within that 4 months, that you don't have to actually worry about requesting extra funding other than your stipend. So I guess it's best for you to ask your host first whether, you know, what's the situations, how do I perform this project within a short period of time, and how much the funding is involved. And if they say, actually, we can all cover that, is already available, we just need you to be here, so you don't have to worry about that. And the stipend that you get for your living allowance, it's enough to cover for the whole fellowship duration.
Thank you so much. Again, I do advise all of those on the call today to please go and watch our previous alumni video that was done last week on our website that does talk about this question as well. It also talks about how do you find a host, and it does cover the fact that if you are looking for a host that works on a similar project that you have, it will also help you with how you want to budget what you're going to be doing on the project. So please do go and watch those videos that we have on our website to help you with your application and to answer some of the questions you may have. But please continue to email us. After this is our last info session for the Fulbright US ASEAN application, and it's closing on the 10th of October. We will have office sessions where you can join us virtually from October 7, 8, and 9 from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you have any questions to ask us, the Fulbright team, about your application, if you have any challenges, we will, you can meet up with us online like this on a virtual call, and we can help you with that. You will get a copy of this recording by tomorrow, along with the registration to join our office hours on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So please do register, and please don't forget to attend after you register. We will send you reminders that you have signed up for the office session. So please do attend the office session once you've registered. Again, thank you so much to our wonderful alumni, Dr. Noor Firdaus and Dr. Wahida Hashim, for taking the time today, not only to prepare the presentation, but also to share your knowledge with the potential applicants on the call today. Potential applicants, I wish you all the best on your application process. And don't forget, you can email us at fulbrightmalaysia@macy.org.my. And if you would like to be connected to an alumni to help to review or mentor your application, you can email us as well. Please do it by this week or next week. Don't wait for on the 9th, you send us an email. I need someone to review my application. Our alumni also have teaching jobs. So please do it as soon as possible so that we can connect you to the alumni to help you out with your application. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful rest of the day.